Hibernian FC SKOL Cup 30th Anniversary Special. An excerpt from the book From Oblivion to Hampden, Hibs Heroes of 1991. Read by me. Castles in the air. A lot of people are writing us off before this match, expecting a shock. My players need attitude and professionalism to get them through. Alex Miller. Tonight's game is a great occasion for Ayr. We are one game away from Hampden. Hibernian are undefeated and have been playing great football, so we will give 100%. George Burley. For the SKOL League Cup quarter-final, Hibs' 6th appearance at that stage of the tournament in 7 seasons, Alex Miller's men found themselves going back to Ayrshire, this time to take on Ayr Utd at Somerset Park on Tuesday the 3rd of September 1991. It was the same day that Russia renamed its second city of Leningrad as St. Petersburg. Macedonia declared independence from the remnants of Yugoslavia that week too. In the UK, unemployment had just peaked at 2.5 million, its highest level in 4 years, as the country suffered yet another recession under Tory rule. First Division Ayr United had narrowly avoided relegation the previous season, but already in the new campaign, they were showing signs of improvement under 35-year-old player-manager George Burley. Burley had enjoyed a successful playing career as a defender, most famously at Ipswich Town, during the Tractor Boys' 70s and 80s heyday. He had also played for Scotland 11 times. His Ayr United team's trump card was its 2 big, strong strikers, Ali Graham and Greg Shaw, a handful for any defence. In goal they also had the experienced goalkeeper Cammy Duncan, formerly of Motherwell, who's now sadly no longer with us. The Honest Men had reached the quarter-finals by thumping Dundee 4-2 at Dens Park in round 2 and then beating Premier League St Johnstone 2-0 at Somerset Park in round 3, both goals in the latter game coming from the aforementioned big strikers. Most of Scotland's media predicted that Hibs would come unstuck against Ayr and would become their second top-flight scalp. Hibs had encountered Ayr 3 times in the League Cup before, twice in group stages and once in a 2-legged quarter-final in 1980, back when Hibs were running away with the First Division title on their way to the top flight at the first attempt, under Willie Ormond, who was then replaced by Bertie Auld. That tie had seen a 2-2 draw at Somerset Park in the first leg, with Terry Wilson and Ali McLeod scoring. But Hibs had been shocked at home in the second leg on 22nd of October, drawing 0-0 after 90 minutes, then conceding 2 goals to the Honest Men in extra time, and a torrential downpour, it must be said, to go out 4-2 on aggregate. Bertie took over from Ormond as boss 1 month later, after Willie had to retire because of poor health. Like their Ayrshire neighbours, Kilmarnock, by 1991 the Honest Men had not won the Scottish League Cup. Their best attempts had come in 69-70, when they had drawn 3-3 with Celtic in the semi-final but lost the replay 2-1, and in 1950-51 when they had also reached the semi-finals but lost 4-3 to a Motherwell side who had went on to beat us, Hibs, 3-0 in the final. Hibernian's 3 scorers from the previous round's victory over Kilmarnock started at Somerset Park. Neil Orr was benched in favour of the fit-again Tommy McIntyre, and Brian Hamilton replaced Callum Milne in midfield. Gareth Evans returned to the Cup squad after his own injury, while the rest of the starters were very much those who had defeated Kilmarnock. In 1991, Ayr's Somerset Park was very much an old-school stadium. Mostly terracing, but more of an enclosed space than Rugby Park. It held around 14,000 fans and there were about 1,600 seats. An impressive crowd of almost 9,000 was to watch this match, the programme for which cost 60p. The referee for this quarter-final was a certain Mr. David Syme, who would become infamous during the tournament's latter stages, making an extremely controversial decision that would ultimately benefit Hibs, but would be rough justice on the side which was on its receiving end. This quarter-final between Hibs and Ayr would not be remembered for Mr. Syme though. The hero would be young Hibs striker Mark McGraw. The Honest Men wore their black and white home colours and Hibs again wore that iconic Adidas green jersey. The lineups were Hibs: John Burridge, Willie Miller, Graham Mitchell, Gordon Hunter, Tommy McIntyre, Murdo McLeod, Mickey Weir, Brian Hamilton, Keith Wright, Mark McGraw and Pat McGinley. On the bench were Neil Orr and Gareth Evans. Ayr United started with Cammy Duncan in goal, George Burley, Gary Agnew, Willie Furphy, Stuart Auld, Paul McLean, Mike Smith, Tommy Bryce, Ali Graham, Duncan George and Big Greg Shaw. Their substitutes were Tommy Walker and David Kennedy. Hibs again took a decent sized travelling support down to Ayrshire. The match was to be very much a tale of two tactical systems as much as anything else. Hibernian's up-tempo passing tempo versus Ayr United's Route 1 direct, predictable but hitherto effective long ball game. Hibs were faster out of the blocks and almost took the lead after 8 minutes. Brian Hamilton fed a clever pass to Mark McGraw in midfield, who turned to thread a lovely pass through to Mickey Weir, sending the wee winger clean through on goal. But Cammy Duncan was up to the task and bravely smothered Weir's effort. The Honest Men's response was an aerial bombardment, for want of a better expression, thumping long diagonal balls forward to the 6'4" Ali Graham and the 6'2" Greg Shaw. These long balls were dealt with superbly by Gordon Hunter and Tommy McIntyre, who were like a missile defence system, countering Ayr's crude but dangerous high balls. At the other end, McGraw seemed to be everywhere, flicking the ball around and, crucially, closing down Ayr's defenders before they could compose their long punts. After 25 minutes, Mickey Weir skinned Ayer's Furphy before threading an intelligent through ball out to Keith Wright in a wide area. Keith's cross was dealt with by the Honest Men's defence, but was only cleared as far as Murdo McLeod, who quickly nodded the ball back into the box for Pat McGinley to hammer the ball past Duncan from close range. 1-0 to Hibs. Ayr did almost equalise 10 minutes later, as a breakdown in communication at the back between Burridge and Mitchell saw the defender lob a back pass to his goalkeeper, only to turn and see that Burridge had come off his line to get the ball early. Thankfully for Hibs, Burridge was able to scramble back to his line in time to avert disaster, and at half time it remained 1-0 to Hibs. McGraw almost killed the tie just 40 seconds after the restart, flashing a powerful angle drive an inch past Cammy Duncan's post. 5 minutes later, Hibs again blew a golden opportunity to get the match sewn up early. Wing wizardry by Mickey Weir saw the wee man ghost past two Ayr defenders and their lunging tackles to send an inch perfect cross to Keith Wright at the back post. With only Cammy Duncan to beat and plenty of time, Keith uncharacteristically made a mess of this opportunity and fired wide when it looked impossible not to score. Ah well. Mark McGraw kept up his endless running and set up another chance for Wright a few moments later, but again the striker wasn't able to convert the chance, and soon afterwards Mickey Weir also bulleted a header off Cammy Duncan's crossbar. Ayr then enjoyed a good 10 minutes of superiority, bombarding Hibs' backline, and, sensing that their visitors seemed strangely reluctant to go for the killer second goal, the honest men carved out one of their best chances after 66 minutes. A neat 1-2 between Ali Graham and substitute Tommy Walker after a through ball from Bryce gave Walker a shooting chance, but Walker slipped while taking the shot and ended up scooping the ball hopelessly over the crossbar. It was Ayer's first chance that hadn't come from a long ball or a corner, and they didn't take it. The honest men were to rue that miss. Alex Miller left his dugout in the closing stages of the match to roar encouragement to his players from the touchline. With 15 minutes to go, having soaked up Ayr United's best efforts to assail John Burridge's goal, Alex Miller's men finally produced that sucker punch. Brian Hamilton sent McGraw racing down the wing, and the youngster crossed for Keith Wright, who this time made no mistake, bravely heading the ball past Duncan in the Ayr goal to make it 2-0 to Hibs. It would remain 2-0 to Hibs. Both sides had played to their strengths, and both sets of supporters had also played their part, creating a white-hot atmosphere within Somerset Park on what was a beautiful late summer evening. For Hibs, it was pass marks all round. Burridge, besides the near-own goal, only had the one real save to make, a superb reflex stop to deny Paul McLean. Hibs' defence had coped well with Ayer's physical threat and long balls. Murdo MacLeod and Brian Hamilton had won the battle in the middle of the park. Mickey Weir had been dangerous down the right wing, while Pat McGinley had won his own personal duel with George Burley over on the left. Willie Miller on the right and Graham Mitchell on the left were their usual solid, dependable selves. Despite the two misses, Keith Wright had scored yet again and had been a real handful for Ayer's defence. Man of the match in this quarter-final was Mark McGraw. He was the real hero, not only because of his skill and attacking attributes, but also because of his selfless running. Ayer's defenders never got enough time to put any accuracy into their long passes because McGraw was constantly snapping at their heels whenever they got the ball, making a real nuisance of himself. Though by then Mark had been at Hibs for 18 months, it was in this match that he showed just why Alex Miller had signed him from Morton. Ayr United 0, Hibernian 2. If Mark McGraw and Hibs could keep up this great teamwork and continue producing fine individual performances, the future looked promising. Alex Miller's green jerseys had reached the SKOL League Cup semi-finals for the first time, Hibernian's first appearance at that stage since 1985. The recent quarter-final hoodoo had been shattered, and Hibs' previous season's embarrassing early exit at Starks Park was now forgotten. Hibees once again had a big cup semi-final and possible Hampden appearance to look forward to. Just 5 months earlier, that would have been almost unthinkable for the fans and for Alex Miller and his team. Once more, the Hibs went marching on. Hibernian would face cup holders and SKOL Cup specialists Glasgow Rangers at Hampden in the semi-finals.